Hello and welcome to this edition of Low Budget and Local. I'm Sam Maupin here talking to participants for the Salish-100. So I'm sitting here with Rusty. Rusty, how's it going?
It's going fantastic.
Wonderful. So the Salish-100 is, if I have this all correct, a cruise consisting of small yachts, small boats, going from Olympia to where's your end point?
We're going to Port Townsend. And it's not necessarily small boats. I mean, any boat is really able to go, but it's primarily small boats.
Okay. So given the size of your boat and a lot of the other participants, what is the appeal in going the distance in such a small craft?
Well, there's a certain challenge to it that I think is satisfying to be able to do a trip like this in a small boat. A lot of times it's what you can afford, and it's just satisfying to cruise on a small boat. You know, it's just it's kind of a nest. It's kind of a just a little home away from home.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like you have a minimum of space down there, but it looks very comfortable.
Yeah, the only challenge with this boat is there's not sitting headroom, so I can't sit up in it. But most of the boats you can sit up in. This is towards the smaller end of boats that are doing the cruise. It's 15 feet, so pretty tiny. There's some famous sailors that said, "Go small, go cheap, and go now."
Well said, well said. Well, thank you, Rusty.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And we're going to continue talking to participants here for Low Budget and Local. Cooper, thank you for taking the time to talk. So tell me a little bit about your boat.
This is a Boston Whaler Harpoon 5.2 meter. They were made from 1978 to 1983 during the oil crisis, which it's made by Boston Whaler, which most people know of as power boats and fishing boats, and it is made the same way. So it was designed by CNC. It has foam-filled hull, just like a Boston Whaler, but it is actually a sailboat, and it sails for a 17-foot dinghy decently well. It's kind of heavy, and in 2016, my brother and I took it from Bainbridge Island to Port Townsend, and then doing the race to Alaska to Ketchikan. And it's not the ideal boat for being in a really, really wet climate. It's more of a day sailor, but it worked for us, and we really love it. And so we're still using it for things like this in the Salish-100. I think even on something like the Salish-100, where we've had, fairly typical June weather for Western Washington, and not a lot of precipitation, which has been great, and mostly warm temperatures and really, really moderate winds, if not totally becalmed. So I'm sure some of these mostly sailboats wish that it was a little bit windier so they didn't have to row, because rowing a sailboat is not fun. But a lot of us also have small outboards, which, in being in an event that doesn't have any rules, there's power boats, there's electric boats, there's rowboats, there's kayaks, there's pedal boats with sidecars for the daughter. It's just pretty much bring whatever you want to enjoy this really cool place in kind of one of the best times of the year.
To better understand the idea of pocket yachting, I spoke to Kirk Gresham, one of the founding members of Port Townsend Pocket Yachters. He explained how pocket yachting started.
And when the economy crashed this last time, people were starting to wonder about the Wooden Boat Festival. A lot of people were starting to think about selling their big boats. And I said, we've got to push this idea of cheap and dirty cruising, anything you can scrounge up. And boats under 27 foot, especially fiberglass ones, you can pick up for next to nothing now. So we really promoted that. Any material, any size, no criticizing the other guy's boat, no fees, no trophies, just supporting each other and having a good time.
Regardless of the boat, from big to small, conventional to abstract, the common theme I found in the Salish-100 was an enjoyment of cruising and a love of the water. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Low Budget and Local. As always, hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next week for more.